Okay, today we're going to talk about rosin and talk about the effects of too little and too much rosin on the wheel, how it affects the sound, and how it affects the playability of the instrument. So, first thing we're going to do is just demonstrate what too little rosin sounds like. Now the instrument here is properly set up. I'm going to set the string on the wheel. We've got proper shims, I've got proper amount of cotton on the wheel, but I don't have enough rosin. And the way you're going to tell this is by slowly turning the wheel. If you don't hear any sound by slowly turning the wheel, then you're not rosined up enough. It needs more rosin. Right now there's not enough. You hear it'll pick up and now I can make it sound, but if I slow down and come from a dead stop, it just does not make any sound. That means you do not have enough rosin. So what we're going to do is add a little bit of rosin, and when we do that we're going to put the rosin on the back side of the wheel back here, and we're just going to turn it and apply rosin lightly to the wheel until you start hearing a sound. Well, a good sound, consistent sound. And then the way you check after that is to start again from 0. If you turn it slowly, does it make a sound? Does it sound good? So we have enough rosin on the wheel now because it'll sound at turning slow and it'll sound turning fast. So that's the proper amount of rosin. Now remember, you don't want to bear down on the rosin. You want to put it on there very lightly, go back and forth, cover the whole wheel back and forth, and try not to build up rosin on either edge of the wheel. Just put it across the wheel smoothly and evenly, and you're going to end up with a nice sounding string. Now if you put too much rosin on the wheel, you'll notice that the sound gets much more harsh, especially at a start. So we're going to put a bunch of rosin on it really quick here and you'll see what I'm talking about. And now the wheel is just covered in rosin. There's a lot there. Now the wheel, you notice the string continued to make a sound. And it does continue to make a sound, although you'll notice how much harsher this sound is comparative to the previous one. When you turn the wheel slowly, you notice it also makes a much harsher sound. It's not sweet, you don't get the tone you want, it's just way too much rosin. So, the way you fix the way too much rosin problem is one of two ways. First, you can take any clean rag. You want it to be fairly smooth, not too heavily terry if you're going to use terry cloth, but just make sure it's a nice clean rag. You're going to set it on the wheel, and you're going to, clean cotton rag. You're going to set it on the wheel, and you're going to turn the wheel. Let's lift the string off first. You're going to turn the wheel while you put pressure on the wheel with your finger inside the rag. Now what that's going to do is that's going to grab the rosin that's there and start to warm it up. As the rosin warms up, the hotter it gets, the more it melts. Now when it melts off the wheel, it melts onto the rag. As a matter of fact, I can smell the rosin. The heat from the wheel is causing it to melt onto the rag, and I can actually smell it. It smells kind of like pine resin. Now you're going to crank fairly fast. You're going to put a lot of pressure on the wheel, and you're going to just really heat that wheel up. Watch your finger because it does get hot. Now right here is a big chunk of rosin now that's stuck there. It's actually fairly crispy. That is on the rag and now off the wheel. So if you put too much rosin on the wheel, this is the simplest way to do it. Hold your finger onto the wheel firmly on a clean rag. I tend to double it up so my finger doesn't get really hot, and then crank away. As you crank, keep putting pressure on it. If you need to, move your finger closer to the edges on both sides. If you feel like it's rougher in one spot, hold it there a little longer. Let it burn off that one spot a little longer, that one side of the wheel. So Got a little bit more on that one. So what we're going to do then is we're going to put that string back on. Now it's a little more harsh than when we originally put the rosin on in the first place, but at least it sounds. It's nowhere near as harsh as it used to be. Now you can play this rosin off. You can essentially just continue to play the instrument until the rosin thins out enough that the sound gets a little sweeter, a little mellower, and you don't have to worry about the buildup of rosin affecting the instrument. You can continue to do the same thing, put the rag on it, crank some more, until you get that sound that you want. The easiest thing to do is just get it to this point and then just play it until you need more rosin. Usually this will last for quite a long time. Now there's a more extreme way to do it, and that is to take sandpaper, 600 grit. You can buy it at, I buy it at Ace Hardware, your local hardware store. Usually independent places have them. I haven't found it at like Home Depot or Lowe's because it's too fine. But you're going to just find some really good 600 grit sandpaper. And what you do is you lift all the strings off yet again and lightly set the sandpaper on the wheel and crank. Now, you do not want to put a lot of pressure on this. You do not want to dig into the wheel. You don't want in any way to take any weight off of that wheel. All you're going to do is you're just going to move it back and forth smoothly. Try to take a little of the rosin off. Don't put a lot of pressure on there, and you're going to end up with some rosin and maybe a little wood on the wheel. But you're going to notice that when you're done, it'll be fairly light. Now what you want to do after that is just wipe off the wheel. Make sure you get all the dust off of that. Okay, put the string back on. And it's a little less harsh now because all I did was take a little more off with the sandpaper. Sandpaper is more for an extreme situation. If you've got a lot of rosin on there, it tends to pull it off quicker. But remember, the rosin sticks into the sandpaper and makes it ineffective fairly quickly. So take just a little piece, a little wider than the wheel. Once again, not a lot of pressure. Just simply laying it on there, putting very little pressure on it, and going back and forth flat on the wheel. You do not want to round the top of the wheel. You don't want to round the edges off considerably. You just want to take the rosin off of the flat surface of the wheel. So when you're done, you should have a beautiful sounding instrument and should be able to play consistently. Now this is how you fix instruments when you get too much rosin, and what you need to do in order to get just the right amount. That's it. Good luck.